So today we're going to be working on making an ear. And so the first and foremost thing that creating an ear is actually pretty simple. We're not going to go real crazy with it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Poly Model here, and I'm just going to grab a plane and make sure that plane is off of my reference here. So I'm just going to move that so we can see it. So we've got our reference here, and the first thing is make a plane, keep it simple. We can scale it, we can kind of basically build what we want with it, but ultimately what we're doing is we're doing a couple different levels. So the first thing I always do to make life simpler is I always start with the outer ear. And so when I do this, I'm going to just go to the edge here, and I'm going to hold Shift Extrude, which not scale here, Shift Extrude like so, and I'm just going to start slowly kind of running it around here. And I don't have to worry about polygon count right away until we start getting into more of the kind of process of things and how small you work with things and how tight it is. We can always basically go in and say X-ray here and kind of look at from it from that standpoint. And so we can kind of go in and play around with that as well. Let me turn off the X-ray here, and let's turn off the X-ray there. And so basically all I'm doing is I'm just kind of moving and kind of rotating this all the way around here. So once that's done, we're going to have a basic ear shape, and it's going to flow nicely around the ear from a standpoint of basic kind of conjunction here. And so if it needs to be scaled, don't be afraid. We're just working with a plane, so that's not that big a deal. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to rotate this a little bit, and I'm going to bring this over here, and I'm going to rotate this like so, and then basically I'm going to move this up here, and then one more is up here. So this is my connection point, and I'm going to go into vertice right here, and I'm going to just merge these together, so like this, and I'm going to just grab this one and move it pretty close to here. Remove that, and I'm going to hit G, and that'll tighten that together. Now the edge, the ear lobe hangs down a little bit, so I'm just going to really quickly grab that edge and scale that down and scale it like so. So just kind of however we want. So that works fine for this face. Now this piece here, I'm going to basically create and curve up under there. So what I'm going to do is simply do the same thing as before, and I'm just going to move this and rotate it like I said before. And so you can scale, just trying to keep it a real simple shape here. And we can scale that a little bit bigger and move that up so, like so. And then I'm going to basically extrude that, and I'm going to extrude it here, but I'm not going to connect it right away. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to go in the vertice here and kind of pull this together. Now that doesn't fit right, but that's okay. This here I'm going to take and basically move something along the lines of like this. I can always adjust that and like so. So this is basically that, and then I'm going to multi-cut and add in a cut here. And then what I'm going to do with that is go on the edge and grab this edge. And so as you can see, I'm basically just following the pathing of this ear. So like so. Okay, so now when you've got that section, okay, the big thing is to understand, and I'm just going to go into object level and move this off the side so you can see. So I'm moving in the path line of this here. So this is my outer, and then this actually falls down into the inner, and then this falls down even further. So I have to have 3 layers. So basically, this is outer is layer 1, the inner is layer 2, and the inner ear here is layer 3. And so in order to do that, I'm just going to move that back in place. And this is where I'm going to go into this here, and you can see my other stuff from the previous stuff. And so what I'm going to do here is, because this is my edge, I'm just going to move that inward and this a little bit, so about halfway. And then this is the, so this is an inner ear, so I'm going to bring that down to about the same level. So you can see that that kind of falls into the same level because I want that to basically line up accordingly. And then I'm going to have this here, so this all the way around here is basically, you can see it's kind of a flat thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude that downward. And so when you start looking at the ear in 3D, when I start smoothing it out, you can start seeing that I'm getting basically the elements that I need. So with that, again, I'm going to just basically extrude this up a little bit. So that's going to go out a little bit, and so that's going to go underneath. And so that gives me kind of this rounded kind of look and feel. Now with that idea in place, then I can start grabbing some of this stuff here and start pulling that in and that backwards like so. So that gives me the that part of the ear. And then these right here, I'm going to pull back and I'm going to pull up. And again, if, you know, simplifying is better. So again, I'm going to grab this one here and this one here. And I'm going to pull back and pull out like so. And then I've got basically like, so these pieces here, I think we're going to pull that back a little bit. And so you'll notice that this starts connecting. So we can connect these two together. Shift right click and bridge. Except I've got the wrong one here. So let's go with this. And I'm going to grab this just little layer here. I think that's everything. I'm going to grab that little layer and I'm going to extrude that down and then back to the original one. So this one here and that one there, and shift right click and bridge. So that one puts that there. So when I do that, you'll notice that that gives me the curve and everything kind of starts going down. Now, same thing with this here and this piece here. Grab that so you can see it. So again, shift bridge, and then you'll notice that this has two pieces here and they're pretty much on the same kind of line, if that makes sense. So I'll need to connect those together. And then you'll notice that this here, if I look at the ear, it goes all the way under. So I'm going to grab this loop here, right here. And I'm going to grab that piece right there. And then I'm going to shift extrude that inward like so. And then I can shift extrude it backward a little bit. So like that, and then that's going to pull this back a little bit more. All right, and pull that back, basically back like so. And then what I'm going to do is start connecting some of this stuff together. So you can see that this is pretty flat here. To make this kind of work with this, I'm going to just grab this here. So these three sections here. And I'm just going to shift extrude down, and then I can start adding a little bit more geometry. So I'm going to go into multi-cut here, and I'm going to probably add at least one, maybe two sections, but we're going to connect things together. So in order to do that, I'm going to grab this here and that there and bridge it together. So that's filled up. And as you start doing this, you can toggle back and forth between 1 and 3 and look at like how it's looking from that standpoint. So you can already see I'm starting to get kind of a pretty decent shape going on. Okay, you know, that's the kind of key aspect of what we're looking at. We're looking at how to connect these together. So this here, you'll notice in the ear, it's basically splits. So I'm going to want to kind of connect that. So I'm going to go multi-cut here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, like so, and hit enter. And then I'm going to connect these two together like so. All right, and then I'm going to grab my plane, and I'm going to pull that, extrude that downward a little bit, and then actually delete this face here. So delete that. So it creates that kind of groove, if that makes sense. And then basically we've got, I'm going to just grab this and pull it out a little bit. So I'm going to go in object mode. I'm just pulling it out a little bit so I can kind of work away from the reference a little bit more. And so basically, again, going into the edge here and grabbing that edge like so, and basically bridging that together like so. And if it doesn't look right, if you feel like it's not, you know, doesn't line up with the geometry, or you're going to have to move too much geometry around to kind of work with it, that's okay. Then we need to make more geometry. So I'm going to grab this edge loop and move it up a little bit, and I'm going to grab a multi-cut here and add that. And so basically we're going to grab that loop and that loop. Sorry, making sure I got the right one here. So it's that loop, the one that's in the back there, to this one, and again, bridge, so on and so forth. So ultimately, you just kind of flow around here, and we're adding in, you know, different parts of the geometry. And so let's add that to that. And again, I'm just kind of going back and forth and looking at this. So you can see here, like if I grab these, like these two here, and I scale them down a little bit and then move them back, that's going to give me a little bit more of what I'm looking for as far as that goes. Then I can grab like maybe this here and pull this back a little bit more. And so it's basically referencing the ear versus this. And so even going back here, then I can look at, so I can look at this here. So this edge here, I'm going to pull out a little bit more. We're going to grab that one, and I'm going to bridge that. So you can see here that that works pretty well. And again, going back here and seeing how that one works. So I'm going to bridge that, and you'll notice that that works okay. And if you run into this, where the black is always getting confusing, we can always go to display, polygons, and backface culling. And so what that will do is, if I'm on object mode and have my object selected, so display, polygons, backface culling, that will actually allow me to kind of look back and forth. And if it doesn't work for you, so if it doesn't work for you, basically undo that just by doing so. So with that idea in mind, then I'm just basically going through and kind of lining things up, if you will, and kind of putting pieces together. And so it just turns into a little bit more of a puzzle at this stage of the game. If I need to add more geometry in, or if I need to kind of you know, move things around. So for example, if I grab, let's grab this edge here, and grab that edge there, and then just move it like so. And so that's the underside. And if I need to grab this, so I'm going to grab this and kind of play around with it. We can always chamfer things or add in things, or basically kind of manipulate things together. So for example, this here, I might just simply grab this and collapse these together. So that works okay. And again, as you start doing this, you'll notice that the ear kind of starts working together pretty well. And if it doesn't, if you have things that don't fit right, or the things, you basically just need to add the geometry in there to kind of build up this process. And with this idea, it's just a matter of like, we can move things. Like this is too simplistic, so let's just do that. And I'm not too worried about triangles because this is really never going to be animated. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to kind of connect things together from that standpoint. So you can see here, I might just rotate that around and move that around up a little bit more. And so I've got this weird, so if I take these two here and connect these two and merge that together, and then again looking at it from the subdivide mode, you can see that's not necessarily good. It looks like I accidentally cut something in there, so let's get rid of that. Control backspace that out. So again, this looks okay. I'm just kind of adding in more geometry here. So it looks like I'm just going to add a little bit of this in. So again, going into vertice, grab these two verts, collapse that together, grab these two verts and collapse that in together. And so I'm starting to really get more of, you can see a pinch there. I don't want that necessarily pinched in there. So we can grab that and just kind of move things. Maybe pull that up a little bit more. And we're going to do something. So I'm going to redirect the geometry. So I'm going to do a multi-cut here. And then I'm going to go into edge mode here. Grab this edge and that edge. And I'm going to bridge that together. And then I should be able to grab that. And I should be able to fill the hole there. And so with that in mind, that will smooth things out. Now I do have a little bit of a weird press here, and it might be just the fact that something's not connected, or it might be, and again, this is where I need to, I might just grab this here, and we might pull that ahead, and it's just a lot of like tweaking and thinking about things of how you're moving things around. So it looks like that's a triangle going on, and that's what's not running together well. And so in order to fix that, simple triangle, we'll just collapse this edge here. So go here and collapse that edge. And so again, another triangle. So again, look at how things are connected. And there's a little angle here, and you can see I just need to kind of clean that up here. It just might be in that area. But ultimately, once you get done with this, I won't do the whole thing, but once you get done with this and you kind of figure out how you're connecting all the pieces together, then what I'm going to do is I need to create the back of the ear and connect things out. So again, going back to low poly, I'm going to grab the entire outer ear, and I'm actually going to subtract, I don't need this part of the ear, and so I'm going to pull that out like so, and then I'm going to kind of shrink that down. So I'm going to scale this down here, so like so, and there's my outer ridge, and then I can start pulling that out and scaling that backwards as well. And so I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to stop talking here for a second and just kind of problem solve this. Alright, so what we're going to try and do here is fix this pole. Basically what's happening is it's all bunching up there, and I don't really like that. And I did find a triangle up here, so we're going to match the two together. So I'm going to multi-cut here, go basically from here to here to here, and then bring this down into this group right there, like so. And so by doing that, then I can go into the edge loop here and grab that edge. Should be able to control pack space that, and that didn't do much, but then I can grab this one here and collapse that edge together, and then collapse this edge together there, so I get more of a loop. So with that giving me more geometry in there to kind of work with, so with that I can then take a multi-cut here, and let's try and redirect this. So let's bring this over like so. And so we'll do that. And then I will do, so we'll bring this back down here like so. And then when I subdivide it, it's a little bit better. It's got some wonkiness going on here. But what I can do then is, so we've got the two triangles there. I can basically go like so, create that one there, and that one there. And then I can grab this and control backspace that out. I can grab that and control backspace that out. I can grab that, control backspace that out. And it looks like I've got, when I subdivide, there's a hole there. And so with that idea in mind, then I can go to my vertice here, grab these two, and merge them to the center. And then that way, when I subdivide, I've kind of fixed that. I'm going to grab this edge back here, go in the edge mode, grab this. Again, I'm not really, grabbing the other edges, so I'm going to start looking at this from this standpoint. And then I'm going to just hide this so I can work on it from here. Basically, from this standpoint, I'm going to start going into the edges here, and I can grab two edges like so. And so I can grab this and kind of bring it down, this and bring it down, this and bring it down. So here is the back of the ear. So I'm just kind of building out that back of the ear here. And so to do that, I'm just going here, and we can bridge like so. And my goal is to basically start pulling these up, and this is going to be my kind of earlobe here, if you will. so, like so. And my goal is to basically make it so that I have got very little geometry in the hole, like so. And let's add another edge loop here. Bridge that. Bridge that. Bridge that. Like so. And then here's the back of the ear. So we're just going to kind of collapse that. And then we're going to go in vertice. And so the back of the ear is pretty much like so. So you'll notice that when I've got that, now I can put the ridges depending on how much geometry I want. I can put ridges back here so that it looks like you know, the reverse version of this, because we've generally got like a flat spot up here, and so like it depends on if you're going to see it or not, but it's basically the reverse. I'm not too worried about that from that standpoint. I just want the simple kind of earlobe. I'm not going super humanistic with this, and this is going to fit on a low poly model, so I'm not spending a ton of time on it. But my big goal is to make sure that I get the number of spaces. So here's 1, 2, and possibly 3, and then this is the connection point, so 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. So I need to use that to line up on the head there and basically work accordingly on that head. Now I did this backwards, so if you do something backwards, you can always go here and go into edit, and you can basically duplicate special, and then I'm going to use the -X. I'm going to do just a copy real quick here, and I hit apply, and then I can move that like so. This is just, I'm going to rotate it like this, and as you can see, I'm just hitting V, and I'm going to snap that. Now of course it's a little bit too big, so we need to scale this down here like that, and I'm going to slightly rotate it outward like that, and I'm going to make sure it is moved down a little bit more. And so my goal is to basically make sure things line up from that standpoint. So when I smooth things out, you'll notice that everything kind of lines up accordingly, and that is my goal. And thanks for watching How to Make an Ear. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to let me know, and I'll see how I can help you out.